Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.
Quinn explores the VR world with Vorden. Will he be able to uncover hidden powers and battles? Will his skills be enough to take down his opponent in the game? Stay tuned to find out.
It was getting late, and it was almost time for their curfew, so Quinn and Vorden decided it would be best to head back to the dorm rooms. When they arrived, they noticed that the lights were out, and Peter was already in the room fast asleep. "Does he look okay?" Quinn asked, as he noticed Vorden was looking around to see if he could see any markings on his face or body. "Yeah, he seems fine, but even if he was getting bullied, he could have gone to the doctor's office before coming here," Vorden replied. "Well, I still think we should keep an eye on him. There's no way higher levels would just become friends with a lower level for no reason," Quinn said. Vorden cleared his throat loudly and started to look at himself. "Of course, there are some exceptions," Quinn said, smiling. With the other two now fast asleep, Quinn was still awake messing around with his system. He was busy watching the tutorial videos of the hammer strike. He didn't have enough points in agility to earn the flash step, but with the gauntlets, he did have enough for the hammer strike. The video contained the blonde man demonstrating what to do step by step. It was incredibly detailed, showing everything in slow motion to the point where it also described the feeling the user should have every step of the way. Quinn repeatedly watched the video as he wanted to learn and test it out in the game tomorrow. After finally remembering all the steps and believing he had a confident grasp on the skill, he shut his eyes and went to sleep. The next day, Quinn had woken up earlier than the other two. He immediately wanted to go to the game to create his character and test out the skill he had been learning all night. Just in case the others wondered where Quinn was, he left a note before leaving. When he finally arrived, the VR room was emptier than it was yesterday, most likely because it was early in the morning and not a lot of students had woken up yet. Quinn then went on to do the same as Vorden had done yesterday. He went up to the pretty lady who stood behind the counter and asked to rent a capsule, only this time for 2 hours. There wasn't much use for his credits other than buying late-night snacks, and at the moment not even that satisfied him. Ever since he had his first taste of blood, food was starting to taste bland. He still got hungry like everyone else, but the taste of ice cream and sweets just didn't have the same rush effect it once had. To get that feeling again, he could only get it from blood. But Quinn made sure to only consume blood when he needed to or to get himself stronger. He was afraid that he might become addicted to the feeling, and if he did, it would only cause more problems for him. Before entering his capsule, Quinn looked around the room and noticed some students carrying their beast weapons with them. Not all students used one like Vorden, but after watching the games Vorden had played yesterday, he did see a few of his opponents have one, which meant most likely that the students bringing their weapons with them meant that the game was also able to recognize the power of beast weapons. Just on the side of the capsule, there was a large rectangular box, and underneath were the words written, "Beast's Weapons." So it looked like Quinn was right after all. After taking off his gauntlets and placing it into the box, the capsule started to scan the weapons. "Scan complete. The beast weapon may now be used with the capsule." He then hopped in and logged into the game. Only this time, instead of logging in as a guest, he decided to register an account. "Please create a user ID." Quinn thought long and hard. He didn't want anything that could give his real identity away, but at the same time he wanted a name that would express his newfound self. Something like Vampire God just wouldn't work and gave too much information. Plus the idea of putting vampire in his name just sent cringe tinkles running down his spine. Finally, he had settled on a name. User ID created, Blood Evolver. The name was chosen for a few reasons. Quinn could feel his body getting stronger with each person's blood he drank. It was as if his body was evolving into something else, and in the future, he knew he would be stronger than he was now. He thought the name was very fitting for himself. The next step was to design his character. The body proportions of his character were the same as him, but he was able to choose what hairstyle and simple clothing he wanted on it. Quinn had always been born with black curly hair and wanted to change it but never got the chance to. Now it felt like he could be someone else. After going through all the options, he finally decided on a red, spiky-haired character who wore simpler villager clothing. It looked like a farmer from an old fantasy world. Once the character had been completed, Quinn was once again teleported to the large, white, empty room. That's when Quinn noticed something. While in the room, Quinn was able to walk around freely and move his body just like he could outside. He was currently dressed as the character and even had his gauntlets on. Then, when Quinn tried to open up his system, to his surprise, it appeared like usual, showing all of his current stats. Quinn looked down at his gauntlets and immediately wanted to test something out. Blood swipe! And in that instant, a red claw-like line left Quinn's hands and scratched the ground. For whatever reason, it seemed like Quinn's system and abilities still worked inside the game. After finding out that his blood swipe worked in the game, Quinn immediately opened up his system to check his stats again. Only unlike the outside world, where his HP would have gone down by 1 HP, everything had still remained the same. Was it because using it didn't actually use any blood? When Quinn would use blood swipe outside, the red claw-like shape would leave his hand, and at the same time, he felt like a piece of energy inside him had left with it. The minus in his HP would indicate that it took part of his life force or his blood. But inside the game world, the attack did no such thing. It was just replicating what his mind told it to do, while scanning the body inside the capsule to see if it was possible. To test this, Quinn swiped his hands non-stop, swipe after swipe. Red lines left his fingertips in a flurry, but at the same time no HP was lost. Just in case, Quinn opened up the game system and checked, and right next to his name, where there was a section to fill in your ability, there were the words written none in the box. However, another thought came to Quinn's mind. If he didn't lose any HP when using the skill, this also meant that his blood bank would have no effect in the game. When he would get attacked, it would do no physical harm to his real body on the outside. He wasn't actually losing health, so inside the game, he wouldn't be able to rely on his blood bank to save him out of tough situations. But the fact that Quinn was able to use these abilities in the game made him think, was his system really an ability? At first he assumed so. After all, he had received the power from what had looked like an ability book. Of course, he had never heard of an ability like this before, but there were many abilities in the world that originals had hidden and kept for themselves. Then he thought back to his status change. Next to race, it stated he was no longer human. Perhaps his abilities were more a side effect of changing race, rather than an ability itself. That's why the skills that he unlocked through the system didn't really follow a pattern. What the blood bank could do differed greatly from what his blood swipe did. If Quinn's theory was right, did this mean he could also learn an ability? He hadn't tried so far because he thought it simply wouldn't have worked, but now if he was to test this, he needed to think long and hard about what ability to learn. Before going into his first game, Quinn wanted to test out the hammer strike. He had been watching the video all last night and felt like he was ready. Place your foot forward like this and at the same time rotate your body. The energy should flow through your toes upwards. Then, as you pull back your hand, stomp on the ground and at the same time release the energy through your fist, Quinn mumbled as he went through the steps. At first, Quinn did all of the required steps slowly, making sure he did all of the steps perfectly, not using any of his energy or strength. He did everything step by step as the video had explained. After going through it a few times, he was ready. In one motion, he did all the steps as fast as he could, and just like the video had stated, he could feel the energy rising from the bottom of his feet into his fist. The powerful strike left his hand, and a loud bang was heard. A small shockwave in the air was created. "I did it," Quinn said. Although the shockwave was nowhere near the size of the man in the video, Quinn was still happy with the result. There was no longer any need for him to delay anymore, and he went and clicked on the search function. For his first match, Quinn wanted to go against the same power level user as him, a level 1. Technically, Quinn himself knew he was beyond level 1. If he was to take a guess, he would say he was around the same power level as a 2.5, but for his first match he just wanted to make sure of a few things. The game had found him an opponent and he was immediately teleported to an arena. When the countdown had finished, it was time for the match to start. The student in front of him had no beast weapon, so Quinn was cautious at first, and at the same time he wanted to test something out. Quinn got in close to the student and was ready for whatever was to come. That's when the student had shape-shifted his hands into a claw-like shape and scratched at Quinn's body. The attack was slow, and Quinn was able to block but chose not to, and allowed the attack to scratch against his chest. While playing the game, inside the user's view was his and his opponent's HP bar, placed in the bottom right-hand corner. When the attack went through, a small amount of HP had been taken. Quinn then quickly stepped back a few steps and proceeded to use his blood bank skill. HP is currently full, unable to use blood bank. It was as he had suspected. Although he took damage in the game, nothing had happened to his real body outside. With his thought confirmed, Quinn was now ready to end the match. He dashed forward, and when he was close enough, he threw out a blood swipe. The student lifted his claws to block, but the second the blood swipe made impact, his claws had shattered, and followed up behind the first blood swipe was a second one. The student's HP was lowered now by around 25%. Although Quinn could have easily finished the match with a barrage of blood swipes now, he chose not to. He had wanted to originally play the game to help train his fighting skills, and in the outside world, Quinn wasn't able to use the blood swipes as he liked. Quinn got in closer to the student. By now, the student's claws had already regenerated. The student swung again, but this time, Quinn ducked underneath the attack and threw out a punch to the student's stomach, followed by another punch to the student's face, and finished him off with a cross-shaped dual blood swipe with both hands. Winner, Blood Evolver! Just then, though, Quinn had received another message from his own system. Opponent has been defeated, 25 EXP has been earned, 305 of 400 XP. It was unexpected, but Quinn had received EXP for defeating an opponent in the game. Suddenly, a large grin appeared on his face.
Will the game reveal any hidden secrets about Quinn's abilities? Will it affect Quinn in the real world? Find out in the next episode.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Blockbuster YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.
Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.